Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Redmissed in the house once again. How you doing? I hope everyone's doing great. I'm doing great, and we, my friends, are playing a little bit more Formula One Manager. Now, excuse me, I want to go ahead today and I want to give you a little bit of, I suppose you could say, a little bit of advice, a little bit of a helping hand in. Wrong thing. I need to slow him down. In understanding a little bit more about this game. Now, it's kind of the same as previous videos. On the basis of you need to pay attention to your car quite significantly, because it's not just like, guys, really, it's not just about putting like the best parts on a car. Sometimes you can put lower level parts on a car or make your car actually statistically worse, but by doing that you actually make your car better in a particular area. And this is what I'm showing you here. Now you can see here I'm currently running the same two guys as I run normally, Kafia and Antonio. They are both level 9, but I've changed my car setup. Now I can make my car setup way better than this, and as you can see here I've comfortably finished where is this track? I can't even remember where the track is, guys. I know I'm pretty sure it's Series 4. So I'm not saying that this will work if you have like a lower level car and you're trying to compete in a higher level area. Now, I'm not saying this is going to work at all, but you can see here I've just comfortably beat my opponent. And like, with really good positioning. Now, I didn't qualify that great, but obviously you guys didn't see that. But you can see here that if I actually come over and look at my car, you can see here that I have got a couple of good pieces, but I can quite easily make my car very or should I say, I could quite easily, I was going to say very easily, make my car better. So in this particular thing, I've purposely increased my grip, just because I want to play around with a few things and see if, like, genuinely having better grip is going to make you better. Now, obviously, you do need to worry, or you do need to take into consideration what tracks are in which areas, in like kind of ability on whether or not switching out all of your aerodynamics to grip is going to benefit you. But one of the best, or one of the main things that you've got to understand is your qualifying lap is predominantly going to be focused on your racer's consistency, or your driver's consistency, and your car's power. Now, a lot of people might turn around and say, well, no, it's not, but it genuinely is. Power is all about how fast your car is going to accelerate. So when you're hitting those corners, obviously grip is how quick you're going to go round slow, like corners. Aerodynamics is how fast and how good your speed is on straight/far corners. And power is all about how quick you get to your top speed, and it also increases your car's top speed. So having a good power and good consistency on qualifying laps is very important. So even though I might turn around and say to you, in my opinion, Kimi Raikkonen has 90 consistency, Bottas has like 83 consistency. This is really good. Now, that might not be what it's all about, because sometimes Antonio, like, I swear to God, Antonio's consistency is not 36. it is so much better because his consistency when he qualifies is so good. But what I want to do is I want to go and show you now. Obviously, I've purposely put this on my car, but I can very quickly go ahead and you can see here. I can go put this bad boy on and I'm going to increase my car by like 4 power. Yeah, I'm going to lose 4 grip, but that power is more important in my opinion. Unless, of course, you're racing on like Series 7 and you're at like Monaco or something. Power is more important unless you are in those kind of tracks that predominantly is causing grip. But then you could see here, I could go put my King Cog on and I would get a little bit more power. I'd get more pit time. I could go and put my Shredder on. I'd get more power. I'd get more aerodynamics. Obviously, do bear in mind the SyncStar is by far the best gearbox that you can have. So once you get that leveled up, no other piece will be useful. So bear that in mind. But even things like the freewheeler, I could switch that back to my Zen and I would lose my aerodynamics, which isn't really that important, and I would gain power and I would gain grip. But for this, I want to have good pit time. So as you can see here, my pit time right now is 4 seconds 20. That is ridiculously quick. So bear in mind that if somebody else has like a 5-second pit time, you're doing that a second quicker. That is a lot of time. So I want to go ahead and I want to show you purposely using a lower level car because I can make my car better, which for Series 5 races, having my best pieces on my car is actually more beneficial because obviously it would make my car more powerful, it would make it faster, it would be slightly less on grip, but the power and the aerodynamics, so it would mean that I would hit my top speed quicker, I would go faster, and the fast corners would be quicker. Now, I've kind of struck lucky here because this particular track is kind of a little bit more focused on grip, but you can see here that like my cars have actually qualified in a really bad position. Now, this is kind of what I was hoping to see because a lot of people I've been seeing that they've turned around and said, well, I have a good car and I was winning races and I won every single race, but then all of a sudden I've now gone on like a 10-game losing streak. And that happens. I'm not going to lie, that does happen and it is super, super frustrating. And unfortunately, I can't really tell you how to break that. The only thing that I have actually found that can break it is by changing the parts on your car, reducing your series rank. So for example, if you keep trying to race in Series 6 and you was winning that no problem, but now all of a sudden you're playing people with better cars and you're losing like every single match, like, go and race in Series 4 for a little while. Go and race in Series 2 for a little while. Play around with your car. Play around with your drivers. And it's going to sound really, really silly, but sometimes just changing out one part, like, for example, changing out the Zen, which has, like, really good power and speed, and putting in like the SyncStar, which instead of having good power and speed has good grip and good pit time, that might genuinely be the difference in winning races because your opponent might be doing the same as you. He might genuinely be beefing his car up so much that he's got crazy power, crazy aerodynamics, crazy grip, but his pit time might absolutely suck. So if you're both doing like a 2 pit stop strategy, but your pit time is like a 1.5 seconds or even 2 seconds quicker, you might find that you're actually going to beat him because of the pit times. So just bear that in mind. Now, changing over, as you can see here, this is actually also a really good thing for me because we are racing on a wet race right now. And I have been seeing people ask about wet race strategies because they just can't win wet races. Now, bear in mind, think of the wet weather the exact same as any other weather. The only difference is, as you can see now, as that lap has dropped off, you can see now that we're going to count down from 100% wet to 0. Now, the track will dry up by 30% on every single lap. So you can see here, by the time I'm going into the pit, it's actually going to be at 65% because we were going a little bit slower. Now, my teammate does look as if he's actually done a really bad pit stop there, so that might actually go in my favour a little bit there. But then it does look like he's got quite a good pit stop. But look at that, a 3.5 second pit time. That's a pretty good pit time. Now, we're going to go turbo in here. You can see here 35% on the track, wetness on the track. We're going to be turboing around. Now you can see here that my man has actually gone with wet tires here because obviously he's planning on the track being wet very quickly. Now you've got to bear in mind that that track is going to dry up and there's now going to be 2 laps before this track is wet enough for wet tires, because you've got to remember, like, as you can see here, like, look at this, watch. This is how important understanding the wet track is. You can see in 3 seconds, we're going to start getting wet track. Now, it might actually only be, I suppose I'm like half of the way round. Do you know what? I'm actually just going to go ahead and I'm going to pit on this lap instead. Now, normally a wet or a track will increase in wetness by about 22 to 25% per lap. So you can see here 20% wet now. I could quite easily have ran around on the soft tires for another lap if I really wanted to, and probably succeed. But I would have started losing a bit of time because the soft tires actually drop off at 32% wet. The hard tires drop off at 47% wet. And then obviously the wet tires, they will last until the track either says 0% wet or vice versa, you know. So bear that in mind. By drop off, I mean that they will now suddenly become a crawling pace, the same as what the pace would be if you have zero tires left. That's how slow you'll go when I say that they drop off. Until that point, they're very, very capable. So again, I'll tell you, soft tires is 33% and hard tires is 47%. And the track will increase in wetness by about 35% every single time. So you're able to actually squeeze out that extra lap if you've got the possibility of doing so. You're able to make those tires last that extra lap. So just bear that in mind. And you can see here, like, what was my qualifying positions, guys? I can't even remember. And you can see here that I've qualified in finished in 1st and 11th with a much, much worse car than I actually have for that particular area in the game. Also, obviously, if you drop down in series rank as well, you will be able to obviously farm out these racing crates and get a ton of B-Bucks. And this is actually something that I really want to talk to you about, guys, is these B-Bucks are super, super important. So don't waste them. I've been seeing a lot of people that will go into the shop and they'll be like, oh my god, it's like Lewis Hamilton and I can unlock him for like 4,000 for like 400 B-bucks, or I've got like 300 B-bucks and I've got like Sebastian Vettel in the shop, let's go and buy like 3 or 4 of him. No, just forget about it. You only ever want to use your B-bucks on the platinum crates. And the reason why I say the platinum crates is because I've watched people open up the legendary crates, and if you look at the guaranteed numbers for 1,100 crates, you're going to get a guaranteed 1,300 crates. Now, this will also, I believe this also changes on depending on what league you're in. So you can see here that at the moment I'm in Challenger 3, which means that I'm gaining a 90% bonus inside crates. So obviously, if you're only in, say, Junior 2, you're only going to get a bonus of 22% in crates. So I'm not 100% sure if that does affect these particular crates, or if it's only the series. So if you're only in, like, say, Series 5 or Series 7, or Series 6 compared to Series 7. I don't know if that affects the number of crates here, but you can see here a grand total of 103 cards. That doesn't mean 103 cards and then 46 rares, 7 epics. It means that in your 103 cards, you're going to get at least 42 rares, at least 7 epics, which means that you're probably still going to get 50 commons. Now, that's for 1,100 B-bucks. Now, you could buy 4 of these platinum crates for the same price. Now, do the maths, right? You're talking like 52 rares guaranteed, 6 epics guaranteed, and then a guaranteed 200 and like what, 12 cards or 220 cards. So bear that in mind, guys, that the quickest way for you to level up is to farm out, or to get the parts that you need, is to farm these crates and then buy the platinum chests. This will help you so much. But yeah, so you can see there that obviously with the lower level car, I had absolutely no problem. So I could quite easily go ahead and put the better items or the faster items back on my car. And then just literally, like, look at the difference in that piece. Like, guys, look, seriously, like, look at the difference in the upgrade on the piece that I literally took off of my car, just to kind of show you that it's not all about the pieces that you have on the car. It's literally about how you're racing and understanding when you need to turbo, when you need to relax. So you can see here, like, if I go ahead and I drop down, literally, let's just say that I drop down to Series 1. Now, the other thing as well is, when you're racing, try not to, let me explain this before I quickly go in. Now, you can see here in Series 7, I have 20 flags. In Series 6, I have 460 flags. Then I have 265 flags. Now, I have purposely just gone ahead to, like, get into the next zone. Obviously, there has been some times that I have lost in Series 5 and I've lost down in trophies, but then I've just been racing in Series 6 and whatever, so it doesn't really matter. But one thing that you've got to understand is the more flags you have. Now, the game's matchmaking, I'm not going to say the game's matchmaking is good, because the game's matchmaking absolutely sucks. It is so bad. But something that you can do to I suppose manipulate the game into working to your advantage is don't overgrind flags. Like, literally go ahead and farm as many flags as you need in order to get to the next level, right? So if you, for example, if you're in Series 5, but you need to race Series 6 to be able to unlock, I don't know, 200 flags to unlock Series 7, do that. But then don't race Series 6 anymore. Just ignore it. Like, leave Series 6 to, like, sit at the bottom end of your flags and then go back to racing Series 5. Unless you need money, don't race those higher areas, because the more flags you have, the better opponents you're going to race. Because the 9 times out of 10, if somebody's got a lot of flags, they're going to have a better car, right? So that means that you just need to chill out a little bit and you need to stop trying to go too crazy. Damn, Kvyat is in second right now. You just need to sort of relax and pay attention to how you're leveling up your car. And then once your car is at a good level and you're not like, I don't know, just say that you're trying to use level 6 parts, but you're in Series 6, you're probably not going to win because you're going to come up against people like me who have like level 9 parts. My car will just straight up be better than your car. And it's as simple as that. So unless you get super lucky and, for example, every single track will have cars that are, or will have a couple of tracks that are focused on grip, but then there'll always be one that is focused on speed. And then it's the other way round. If there's 2 tracks that focus on speed, there will be one that is focused on grip. So you kind of have to set up your car in order to how you hope the tracks are going to go. So, for example, in Series 1, there's 2 speed tracks and 1 grip track. So you'll set your car up with a lot of power and aerodynamics. In Section 2, there is 2 grip tracks. So you'd want to go for more grip base. But obviously, because it's Series 2, you just need power if you're lower level. If you're higher level, having grip would be beneficial. But then, for example, if you're in like Series 7, that's predominantly grip because you've got like Monaco, Singapore. So obviously you need like massive amounts of grip on your car. But then there's that one speed track. So you can't completely negate aerodynamics and build your car just predominantly on grip because it's not going to work. So just bear that in mind when it does come to building your car for the area that you're trying to race. Like if you're in Series 4, for example, Bahrain, the US. Obviously, the US, you need a little bit of grip, but Bahrain and I can't remember the third track that's there. I think it's, I want to say Abu Dhabi, but I might be wrong. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But obviously with that, there's 2 speed tracks, 1 grip track. But the USA is probably one of the best grip tracks in the game. So if you do have bad grip, you are going to suffer. But if you have good enough power and speed, you will dominate your opponent on the speed side of the tracks. So just try to sometimes, if you drop some power and some speed to give your car some grip, that's not always a bad thing. Or if you're dropping some reliability, oh shit, we need to pit, guys. If you're like dropping a little bit of reliability or a little bit of power to give yourself some extra pit time, again, that is not a bad thing, because like I said before, if your pit time, like such as mine, look at this pit time, 4 seconds. That's a bad pit for my car. So normally my pit time on my car is actually around about 3 seconds 50 to 3 seconds 80. So if you switch out a couple of items and, for example, if you're not running the Sync Star and you're not running the freewheeler, the Sync Star and the freewheeler have two very, very good pit time or pit times on them. So I believe the two of them together are going to take off like a second off of your pit time when they're leveled up. So obviously, if your opponent isn't running those pieces, the pit time is going to probably be like a second longer. So if you're taking that on the basis of two pit stops, that's 2 seconds a race. 2 seconds a race could be the difference between you being in first place and you being in 10th place. So just bear that in mind. Sometimes a pit time can win you a race. And look at that, guys. I finished first and second. Now, obviously, I've got a very, very powerful car. So finishing first and second in Series 1 is no surprise. It's nothing to really brag about. But what is good about that is the fact that finishing first and second in Series 1 means that I come away with 47 points. 47 points means that I can farm out my race crate in 3 races. Every 3 races, that means that I'm basically going to be guaranteed, because I've opened up Series 7, I'm guaranteed one of these race crates that are going to give me like 26,000 gold. So bear that in mind. But look, very quickly, just before I end this video here, you can see here, like, I have the Zen right now. So look at my average pit time. So my average pit time here is 4 seconds 55. So if I go ahead and just literally switch in the freewheeler, look at that, 40 like an extra 38 of a second, 38ths of a second. You know, that's a lot of time. That's like a quarter of a second, guys. Look at that. How much that changes. Now, if I take the Sync Star off and I go and put the shredder back on, look at that. It's literally the opposite way round. So I could literally go ahead and do this and look at the difference in my pit time. So my pit time right now is 4 seconds 88. That's an average pit time, so that means that could be quicker, that could be slower, but 9 times out of 10 you will pit and it will take 4 seconds 88 for you to complete your pit time. So if you was to literally go ahead and switch these bad boys over to this particular combination, and then you could also obviously go ahead and I could go put my Pro filter back in here. Oh, wait, I've already got that there, but you can switch out. Like, you can put other stuff on. You can play with it. Obviously not the magic carpet because it's crap. But look at this. Like, you could sacrifice. Look at how much pit time that is, guys. You could sacrifice grip and reliability. Sacrificing 7 grip is a lot of grip to sacrifice, I'm not going to lie. But to sacrifice for 41 pit time, that could be pretty huge, because that's going to be like 1 whole second less in the pit. And that's if people are running like a quick pit time on their car. Excuse me, if they're running a slow pit time on their car, just say, for example, they don't have that. Say they have the TWT in their deck as well. Like, the pit time could suddenly become pretty crazy, you know. But just say they're using the soft touch, or just say that they don't have the Sync Star, and does the King Cog actually gives you even more pit time. So, you know, but just say they're not that good at the moment. Say they've got that in their team, or say they don't have the wind tunnel, and at the moment they're using for grip, right? Say that they are using this bad boy instead. Just say they don't have the lock, and say they're using this bad boy. Like, look at the pit time. You could literally have a second and a half on a pit time quicker than somebody. So just bear that in mind, guys. Sometimes your pit stop can be super, super important, especially if you're not running drivers with good tyre management, because if you're running someone like Sebastian Vettel, he's not going to be able to one stop a lot of tracks because his tyre management isn't good enough. So he's going to be doing 2 pit stops every single race. If you've got someone like Kimi Raikkonen, he will be doing 2 pit stops every single race. So to lose that kind of time would be very, very important. Just say, for example, you're using, I don't know, as anyone, Max Verstappen, who's got a little pretty shit tyre management. He's gonna benefit from having a super high pit stop. So do bear that in mind. Obviously, if you're using Kvyat and Antonio, then you're not going to have to worry about pit stops too much. But Kvyat can benefit from having a great pit time because his tyre management still means that a lot of tracks he has to do 2 pit stops. Antonio has amazing tyre management. It's 100%. So there's a lot of tracks that he can do a 1 pit stop on. But there's not many drivers that can do 1 pit stops. Like Bottas can do 1 pit stops. Sergio Perez can do 1 pit stops. I believe Vettel, when he's fully leveled up, can do one pit stop, but Hamilton I don't believe can. I think his tyre management is too low. So bear that in mind, guys, because sometimes the pit stops can win you races. So just play around with your car a little bit if you are struggling. And obviously, I do have a lot of things leveled up, so do tell me in the comments down below that if there is anything that you see on here that is leveled up a little bit more and you want to see if it is better than what you're running on your car right now, just drop a comment in the comments down below and say, well, at the moment I'm using a level 7 King Cog, but I have a level 4 Sync Star. Is that going to be better for me to just keep leveling up the King Cog or something? I don't know. You could tell me something like that in the comments and I'll try my best to answer any of your questions that you have, anything that you want to know. If there's any particular areas, like if you want to see me race in the Series 3 wet races, because I know that a lot of you are having trouble in wet races, tell me in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to obviously post I suppose you could say like a race guide in winning that area and stuff. But just tell me in the comments down below, guys. But for now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I shall see you in the next one. Peace on the streets.